Hello, and welcome back to Apaka Podcast. This is episode 3 of our Lore Drop series, where we go behind the scenes and explore the setting of our post-apocalyptic adventure before it starts. Today, we will continue exploring the continent of Kita Kita, focusing on the western side of the continent. As I mentioned in previous Lore Drops, the middle of the continent is a Mojave-style desert, providing a mix of sand, rocks, mesas, shrubbery, and cacti. As you move westward, the desert transitions into a hilly region until you finally reach a large mountain range that runs the full width of the continent north to south. You can't, or I should say most people do not attempt to, get from one side of the mountain range to the other, because it's cold, rocky, snowy, and dangerous terrain. So not much is known about the far side of the mountains. However, I can tell you there is a coastal region where the land meets the ocean. The air currents near Kita Kita typically move from west to east. As the humid air comes in from the ocean, it rains on the mysterious west side of the mountains, which creates a rain shadow and is the reason that the center of the continent is a desert. This also creates snowcaps on the leeward inside portion of the mountains, so you will get seasonal snowmelt that provides some fresh spring water near the base of the mountains. Near the mountains, especially to the north where the rain shadow isn't as intense, there are mature forests, which you would think would be highly settled, as there's not a lot of good fertile soil on this continent. However, the forest and the hilly region leading up to the mountains contain very dangerous wildlife. What you do see in the area is a lot of your single survivor types and migratory hunter-gatherers. They come together into a loose affiliation called the Huntsmen, which is closer to the definition of a guild than any of the other guilds, if we're being honest. Because if you want to be a hunter or a craftsman or anything like that, you can try and find someone from this guild to study under. But it's not very cohesive. It's just a very loose network of people who live in the area and talk to each other. If one of the other guilds decided they wanted to move in and take over the territory, they probably could. But they would probably also annoy the locals enough to band together into a kind of militia to really just make life miserable for the invaders. The bigger picture is that, most of the time, the West is open enough that anybody can go there to hunt and collect resources. But it's generally not a very safe place to live. And so people will choose to live pretty much in the desert and then send out expeditions into the hilly region and the mountainous regions to gather resources and bring them back to the center of the desert where it's a little bit safer to live. Safer being a relative term. And so that is the west side of Kita Kita and the West Guild, the Huntsmen. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Apaka Podcast Lore Drops. This is the ABC Game Master signing off. I'll see you next time.